Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars. If they should Marvel, this one should stay. About 1 year ago, if you were watching a specific Nintendo Direct, you may have been surprised that Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2 were getting a remaster. Now, I know this isn't a hot take, but Star Wars Battlefront 2 is definitely a top 10 video game for me, and the original one, despite its warts and blemishes, is still a good hang. And Star Wars Battlefront was kind of one of those last wishlist items. I was starting to wonder if it was ever going to come to the Nintendo Switch, and it did! And it did! And it did!
Junie Cortez!
The remaster came out, and it was doo-doo. It was buggy, the multiplayer didn't really work, and I was still fairly happy that I could play Star Wars Battlefront on the go, and it's pretty unfortunate that over a year later, the servers are dead and the multiplayer is still pretty hit or miss. It's a huge missed opportunity, of course, to have revived these games and revived the multiplayer community that, you know, probably never got to see its true potential. There's a secret sauce that makes these games just so So of course, Star Wars Battlefront, you have command posts that you have to capture, and to win, you either have to eliminate the entire enemy army, or you have to capture all the command posts and hold them for like 20 or 30 seconds. Every map sort of has a general flow, a general direction that you get pushed in, corridors that you go down. Certain areas of the map will have big enemy flow, and you'll get into these huge battles that you have to try to navigate around, and it's difficult to reach that command post, while other areas of the map may have less enemy encounters, but you're farther away from your own troops and your own reinforcement, and you're gonna have to go in maybe a bit solo at that point. Solo. You can start getting really inventive and doing crazy things to like cheese the enemy team. It's one of my favorite things to do now, is finding new ways and odd orders to capture these command posts. Instead of starting with one that's close to you, if you go to the one at the far end, your troops will start spawning over there. You're creating a two-front battle for the enemy team, but of course, now your troops are split and you have to support two fronts. It's a really smart thing that these games do that you don't even see in the new Battlefront games. The new Battlefront games, while they're good for their own reasons and, you know, got saved from being crap, the one thing they are kind of missing is this free flow gameplay. The way a battle will play out is determined by how the player decides what they're going to do. And that's why the game is so addictive. You can play the same map, do it in many different ways, and have different outcomes. You can do crazy stuff. You can beat Hoth in like under 4 minutes. I have proof. If you manage to get every command post except the prison cell one in the Death Star, you can infinitely lightsaber throw the entire enemy team. In Tantive 4, if you take this particular command post, you can basically just have a continuing shooting gallery of rebels and also recreate the Rogue One Darth Vader scene. In Felucia, you can take this snail droid up here. There's so many things in this game. There's so many ways to play out a battle and completely change the dynamics of the game. And that's why it's so disappointing that the multiplayer for the remaster has failed so miserably. To be able to have a more reactive experience with real players rather than AI, real players are obviously less predictable, creating more immersive, more emergent gameplay. Even with the buggy mess that was the remaster collection, I still had these moments when it was all working okay that I realized that I had to play as a different class, that I had to go a different route than I expected, or play differently than I've had for all these years. And it makes me really disappointed that this game community has essentially died and we're not going to have the opportunity to revive two of the best Star Wars games. What do you think? Is Star Wars Battlefront 2 not the best Star Wars game ever made? Try to convince me. Spoiler, you won't. Please subscribe if you like this video. I would appreciate a like, and I'll see y'all in the next one.